up, everyone? It's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'm starting a vlog. I don't do vlogs that much because I feel like I'm not the best vlogger ever. Eventually I will get there. But for this particular vlog, I am going to be reading a particular book for Hear Voices book tour, and I'm really excited to get into this book because I had read the Confessions in B Flat by Donna a couple of years ago, and this is going to be her new release, which I'm really looking forward to reading. So that is I Am Ayah, The Way Home, and like I said, this is by Donna. I'm really excited to get into reading this. For the synopsis, it says, Alexandra Fleming has spent most of her life running from her past. Her budding photography career, her life in Manhattan, all serve to distract from the secrets and guilt she's never been able to face. Then the call. Her estranged father is in the hospital, and Alexandra must return home to Sag Harbor, crumbling the first wall between her past and her present. For some, coming home is a relief. For Alexandra, it's a reminder of the family she's lost, of the time she'll never regain. But the answers, the secrets of her family are hidden in the house, waiting for her. And the only one who may be able to help her uncover them is her father's neighbor, Zach, who brings with him an attraction that's intense and instantaneous, yet oddly familiar. Then it goes on to say, now Alexandra is being pulled back not only into her own complex family history, but into the richly documented lives of four extraordinary women. Generations touched by tragedy and triumph, despair and hope. And it's in these aching echoes of the past that Alexandra's own story, her mistakes, and her capacity to love will take shape, guiding her to life she's meant to live and the extraordinary person she will become. So yeah, I'm starting this right now as I am on reading sprints with Bree from Bree Reads. And I'm just here for it. Like I said, I'm really excited to get into this, and I just love the cover. Just look at her, just gorgeous. But yeah, so like I said, I'm really just about to start reading this tonight. And I will give y'all more updates once I get further into the book. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, so just a little update. So I got to page 10 and I started tearing up. So we get to learn more about Alexandra, but before we even start with Alexandra in the present day of when she lives in Manhattan, we read a note from someone. It doesn't state their name, and it was written in the year of 1839. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a deep read. And then we go into Alexandra, and she gets a phone call about her dad, how he had broken his hip, and that she has to go back to Sag Harbor, where she's from. And she's talking to her neighbor, which she just loves to death, just dearly. And I just reading this conversation as Alexandra is telling her how she has to go back home and all that. Her neighbor pretty much breaks everything down to Alexandra. And I just want to read this one passage where it says, it's all right. Sometimes as much as we fight against it, destiny pulls us the way we need to go. You spent the better part of your life running from home. Maybe it's time to run too. What are you saying? Pretending that your past don't exist won't make it go away. Ignoring the call won't make it stop. When I left from Virginia and that life, as much as it was all I knew, and as much as I was unsure what the North would hold for me, I knew deep in my spirit that if I didn't try, I would never have no peace. And it was a hard journey. Many days I thought I should go back, but I didn't turn round. I made it. I made a life. My only regret is not getting to see my folks one last time. Make peace. Tell them how sorry I was for leaving them behind. I'm sorry, Alexandra said softly. Long time ago, I done forgiven myself. She waved her hand, then focused on Alexandra. Things different now. You can go back, get answers to all the questions you've been too scared to ask. Make peace with your father and yourself. And with that conversation with her neighbor Edith, it just made me think of just how precious home is, but how traumatizing it can be based off of what had happened in your past. And I was just tearing up a little bit thinking about, I still live where I was born. I still live in Columbus, Ohio and everything. But I think about my ancestors a lot and about you know, my family history and stuff like that, and about my grandparents and what they had experienced. And, you know, my father's side, when they they moved up north during the Great Migration. So they moved from Georgia to Ohio. So it's just, I would be so interested in getting stories about that, particularly about, you know, the things that they went through, you know, and it may not all be good, and it may not all be bad, but I feel like hearing those stories, it does something for not only for yourself, but for your family, and to keep those stories alive, because they are what had happened in your family. And then as I was reading this, I got something in the back where it gives like content warnings, but it's all the way in the back of the book. And it says, I Am Ayah, The Way Home is an emotional, poignant read about family, history, and love. However, this story includes elements that may not be suitable for all readers, including slavery, rape, miscarriage, violence, and death of a parent. If these elements could be considered triggering to you, please take note. So it does give you some content warnings in this book, which I'm grateful for. I'm glad that there are books and stuff, and authors take the time to let us know about these content warnings, because I feel like that's very critical in a book. And if somebody has no type of heads up, they're just gonna like put the book down completely. So I appreciate the heads up with that. But yeah, I'm only on page 10. I just wanted to give a little update. It really got to me with just that alone, having that interaction with Alessandra and her neighbor Edith. And how Edith was talking about her story of how she was part of the Great Migration, and she had moved from Virginia, you know, to Manhattan, and her story. So I found that very moving and touching. But yeah, that's all the updates I have for now. You're probably not going to see an update until maybe I get into maybe, I don't know, maybe 45, 50, maybe 100 pages into the book itself. But yeah, I'll keep y'all posted. Stay tuned. All right, y'all. So I just had like a revelation. I'm not even halfway. I'm only on page like 30. No, take that back, 32, even though it's not like a big difference. But remember how I told you that Alessandra is on her way back to her home because her father had broken his hip. So she arrives at the hospital, and they tell her his room number. Now, when I mentioned before, we get, if I haven't mentioned it, like in the beginning of the book, we get a little letter that's written in the year of 1839. And then literally as they say the room number for her father's room, I started to like freak out for a second. I'm like, wait, what? This cannot be a coincidence. And literally his room number is 1839. So I'm like, okay, what is happening here? We get a letter at the beginning of the book that starts out, you know, in the year of 1839, which I have a feeling I think it's one of Alessandra's ancestors. And it, like I said, in the book, it mentions slavery and stuff like that, which a letter pretty much states that information. With what happened and where she was transported, the ships and all that, how they divided them up between men and women. Some were kicked off the ship and were drowned because of disease and sickness and stuff like that. So I have a feeling this is her ancestors reaching out to not only her, but possibly to her father, because they have a weird, well, not weird, it's just a broken relationship, and we don't know what is happening just yet. So like, I just had a revelation of that. I'm like, okay, something is happening. This can't be a coincidence how this letter was written in 1839, and then her father is in the room at the hospital 1839. But yeah, that's my little note. I'm going to continue on reading. I'll probably give you more updates later on tomorrow in the morning, just to tell you where I am, where I left off, because it's about that time to go to bed. So I'm going to read a few more pages and then head to bed, but I will catch y'all tomorrow. See ya. Hey, what's up, everyone? Today is the 18th. I was off work today, but I just started running some errands, chilling with my son who is in the back. Say hi. But we got some lunch. I need to go vacuum out my car because my kids, they love to eat in my car and make just huge messes. But I don't know, because if I vacuum out my car, I want to wash my car, but it's going to rain, so we'll see what happens with that. As far as the book, I stopped at a good place last night. I started dozing off, so I stopped. And I'm really am enjoying it. Like Alessandra, and like I like her, and she finally went to the hospital, met her father, and her father said he had something to talk to her, and she was really nervous. And if like you can tell, like their relationship is just not there, and she was even afraid to go home, and realizing that she has to stay there for at least a month to help her dad out, and stuff, when she has this art show, that she's a photographer. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but she's a photographer. She has this art show in New York by one of the best people. Like, his gallery is amazing. His name is Steven, and now he's worried. He's like, well, you made this commitment, you have to be here, you have a lot of work to do before the opening of the opening of this event, for your photography, your photos that you've taken and all that. And she gets that, but then she also is starting to have these episodes when she goes into the house, her old, from her old home that she grew up in. And we start having these revelations of when she has these moments with her mom, or she thinks she's having these moments with her mom. She's not very sure. Her memory is sort of blurry, but she has these episodes, and to come to find out, her father is having these same episodes as well. And we are being revealed that she had these episodes as a kid before. And for some reason, it seemed like when she left and moved to Manhattan, she no longer had them. But it's just really interesting. You can tell there's a lot of family secrets in this book, especially when it came to her mom and she was growing up, wanting to learn more about her mother's side of the family. And her mother's like, the past, only thing the past will ever do is bring up trauma and hurt and pain. She said, always look toward the present and toward the future. She told her to never look back at the past. And so she is pretty much robbed of figuring out her mother's family history and stuff like that, which is very common when it comes to the Black community and Black families. I mean, my family is still going through that. But in my own household, we know not to keep any secrets. I tell my children, no secrets, no lies, no nothing. So I don't want to have that happening and repeating itself over and over again. I just don't want that in my household, and I don't want that for my kids or whatever. Because secrets really destroy your family. I just don't want that type of cycle to happen. So I'm putting it into it right now. So this is where we are. And then she also meets Zach as well, who I really like him. He has helped her out, especially since it's snowing right now and she has to dig out, the car because it's piled up, filled with snow all over it. And he's just really interesting. She doesn't remember who he is. And I found that fascinating. I'm like, what's up with your memory, girl? But he's been helping her out. They've been getting to know each other. He mentioned stuff about his past and how he would travel a lot. He had a lot of liaisons and stuff like that, but nothing serious. And I think he's feeling Alessandra. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like he's getting, as he's getting to know her, he's starting to like her, and she's starting to like him as well. And he starts to reveal his career, and he's an anthropologist, and he travels around the world and stuff like that, especially Africa and all that, and all the different countries. So we found that fascinating. And then Alessandra also did the same thing with her photography. So it's like they have a lot in common. And no, they have little snarky moments with their little attitudes, but I think that turns them on a little bit. But overall, I really am enjoying the pace. I have no complaints about it. Like I said, I stopped at a good stopping point. Once I get to where I need to go and start, once we eat lunch and stuff and me deciding if I want to vacuum out my car today or tomorrow, because literally I don't want to wash my car and then it ends up raining and then I just waste that money. It was no point, right? But yeah, that is my little update. Me and my son, we're going to eat lunch and then we'll go from there. And then after that, I'll probably be picking up my kids from school. But that's my little update. I'll catch y'all later. See ya. As y'all can see, I changed my mind, so I'm gonna vacuum out my car today, and then when it's not gonna be a rainy day the following day, I will wash my car. But I really need to just vacuum because there's a lot of stuff all over the floor. I got the trash out and everything earlier this morning, so literally I just have to vacuum. Ooh, man, my hair, it's about that time. But anyways, yeah, so about to vacuum my car. Stay tuned for more. All right, y'all, I vacuumed out my car. Today was, productive, still is productive. But yeah, you saw the mess that my son has made where he sits, and he just looked so guilty. You could tell, like he as he was watching me vacuum, he could tell. I was like, yeah, mom, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I know you did. It's just like my kids just love trashing my car. I don't understand. And it's like, y'all are not allowed to eat in my car, but then I let them eat in the car for snacks and stuff. And I'm like, man, I need my own little personal vacuum, literally just for my car, like something, because they make a huge mess. But yeah, so I did that. It's getting close to the time to pick up my kids, so I'm gonna head to their school now. As I wait, I'm probably gonna read a little bit more of the book, and then go from there. But yeah, that's my little update with with everything and me vacuuming out my car. But stay tuned for more. I will check y'all later on today. Hey y'all, long time no see. If you're wondering why my eyes are watery, it's because this book has me crying. We just got to a good part where, she was able to talk to her father and break down to, you know, about about her mom and how her mom had visions of the past. Yeah, I'm literally crying. And I'll even read the passage because it's just, and she didn't want Alessandra to go through that. And it says, she'd wake up shaking and crying, soaking wet. Said she was there, back there. Men were after her, water, fire, whips, he sighed. Her mama and her mama's mama used to have them too. Rumor was your mama's people could see all the way back to where we'd come from. He snorted a laugh. Your mother didn't want no part of it, none. She figured that she could bury it down, never talk about it, then somehow it wouldn't get passed on to you. But that wasn't the case. It was passed down to Alessandra. And literally, that was the last moment she had with her father. Unexpectedly, she just went home, you know, thinking like I just had a breakthrough with my father, and he was apologizing for how he raised me after you know, her mom passed away, and said he never should have blamed her, but he did when her mother died 15 years ago. And then just like that, she gets a phone call like saying he's gone. And I've experienced that, but not with a parent. And I think about that a lot. Like, my parents are older, and I know, like, not everyone lives forever. And I'm sorry, I'm so emotional, but I'm just, there has been a lot of books that made me cry, and this is definitely one of them. And I just feel for her. Like, I'm glad that Zach, you know, since the bad weather or whatever was, you know, snow and stuff, he was able to take her to the hospital, and he was there by her side when the doctor said to say her last goodbyes to her father. So yeah, that was just, with that alone, it was really hard for me to read that, because I could only imagine, you know, and I know that time will come one day, and I know, like, no one is ever ready, no one is ever prepared for that, and I know I never will be. I know it's going to be the most hardest day of my life. But yeah, I know it's been a minute since I updated y'all on this reading. I was being more productive today, so I'm just now starting to read a little bit more of I Am Ayah. And yeah, that just, I feel for her. That just broke my heart. I had to put the book down for a second, because I'm like, dang, she could not catch a break. She, you know, she's trying to live her dream of being a photographer. And she finds out her father broke his hip, and he's saying sorry to her for blaming her of her mother's death and stuff like that. Like, they had a moment, and then literally after that moment, he is gone. So yeah, I'm a little bit emotional, but that just lets you know how good this book is and how realistic it is. So I'm gonna keep reading. I'm attempting to get to page 200. I'm on page I'm closer to page 100 now. I was supposed to get further on into the book, but I decided to be more productive with cleaning and stuff like that. So yeah, but I'm just sitting in the car right now with my sons and stuff like that, as my daughter's at her gymnastic practice. But yeah, once I get home, I probably will end up having more updates on everything. And I will keep y'all posted. But that's my little update. Sorry, I'm so emotional, but yeah, this is such a good book. But I'll keep y'all posted a little bit. Good book. Hello everyone. So I made it home safe and sound. I got the kids settled and stuff. You know, took their baths and showers. That way they'll have a good night's sleep. So when they go to school tomorrow in the morning. So yeah, I just got home. I'm still reading I Am Ayah, The Way Home, and I'm at this point. Well, I passed it. I'm a little bit farther in, where there was some steamy romance within this book between Alessandra and Zach, which expecting to happen. I just didn't know when it was going to happen per se, but the scene was amazing. But there was a point in this book, let me go farther back, I had tabbed it, where Zach brought up something of like reasons why Alessandra's mom didn't want to think about the past or think about her family's history and stuff like that. And then Zach brought this up. It says, Zach pulled out a chair from beneath the kitchen table and sat down. I know you have tons of stuff on your mind, but while I was driving, I thought about what happened this morning. There has been scientific research done, and of course there is anecdotal evidence that links what happens with today's Black people as a form of generational trauma. The pain and events of our ancestors' lives continue to embed in our DNA, actually altering it. And then it says her stomach jumped. So you're saying that what's happening to me is in the makeup of who I am and my genes? And then he replies saying, I'm not saying it is, just that there are researchers actually looking into the generational effects of being stolen and forced into captivity and all that came with it. So actually, this is when Alessandra breaks down to him that she's been having these type of spells where visions or whatever, where it looks like her her family's past. And that's when he broke that down to her, because not only is he an anthropologist, his specialty is ethnography. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Where he is able to do research and dig up people's family history. So he does a lot of research, and I feel like with Alessandra, he will probably do the same for her, knowing that there is some documents somewhere in the house where her dad had kept everything as far as their family, because since her father is now dead, her mom is gone, she feels like she's the only one of her family left. She has no stories to tell. She doesn't know anything. She just feels alone. And I think that's when Zach comes into the picture. Everything, what he does for his career steps into the mix, and he's going to be helping her, trying to figure out her family history and who her family is and where they come from. So I'm really looking forward to that, and to knowing that his grandmother, who he lives with currently, knew Alessandra's mother pretty well, and how Alessandra's mother was talking to his grandmother about her history and stuff like that, and how she wanted to, even though it was very painful for her to research the history of her family's past, she wanted to do that for Alessandra anyways, even though she learned her lesson. And then fast forward, we break down to the point of why her father blamed her for her mother's death. So I'm not going to say nothing about it. I'm already doing too many spoilers as it is. But yeah, I'm not going to get into that. Y'all have to read that for yourselves. But overall, this book has got me all over the place. Emotionally, it's an emotional roller coaster with this book, and I'm loving that. I love it. I love the pacing. It's not too slow. It's a page turner for me. So I'm going to be reading a little bit more tonight before I go to bed. Right now I'm on page 125. I'm trying to get to page 200 before I go to bed, so we'll see what happens, but I will give you more updates later on tomorrow, and yeah, I'll catch up with y'all tomorrow. Hello everyone, today is the 19th of May. I read more of my book, so I did get to page 200, and after that I fell right to sleep. I was so tired, and then got up this morning, took my kids to school, and then after that I've been running around doing some errands with my youngest. He's knocked out back there, but yeah, so it's getting close to time for me to actually pick up my kids from school after me running around majority of the day. And so probably once I wait in the car line to pick them up, I'll read a little bit more of I Am Ayah, and then I'll be getting ready for reading sprints tonight. So that should be fun. Reading sprints are always such a good time. We talk about books, but we talk a lot more about books. So we have very, very interesting conversations, especially when it comes to food combinations as well. So yeah, So if you're watching this, if you're new to my channel and you want to join my reading sprints in the future, just join in. Like I said, we have a really good time. And I really enjoy chatting with everyone. And I just love the community that we build and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm on my way to my kids' school now. Probably once I get home, I'll catch up with y'all just to go, see where I am with as far as the book goes. But I will let you know as far as what I read last night. I'm glad that Alessandra is starting to realize the value of the people that she has in her life currently. She's starting to learn the value of it, which I really enjoy, because at the beginning she wanted to leave home. She didn't want to come back. She didn't want to look back. She didn't want to look back at the past, which has how her mother had raised her, but then come to realize her past is very important, very, very important and crucial to the life that she wants to live in her present and in her future. And I love the fact that we also get Edith comes down, her neighbor comes to Sag Harbor, as well as her friend Tracy also comes down to help them with the funeral arrangements for Alessandra's father. And even Zach and his grandmother is just, it's amazing. And the conversations that they have, the food that she makes, it's just interesting. And then the history as well, when within the pages we have these letters. Remember how it started from 1839, and as we read these letters on in between the conversations with Alessandra, we're stepping back into the past, and I find that very, very fascinating. And as Zach is researching certain things of the Black community and the Indigenous community in Sag Harbor, I think he's putting two together. And I believe that Alessandra had found something in her father's closet regarding the letters that her mom and his dad and her dad didn't want to share with her at the time. So I cannot wait when she actually starts to get into those letters and see what they say. But yeah, so heading over to my kids' school now, and I will give y'all more updates once I get home. Hey everyone, so I'm back. Of course, I picked up my kids. I gave them some homework that me and my husband gave them to do, and got them, we made dinner, and now it is bedtime, so I'm officially back into reading this. I'm on page 250. I would love to finish this tonight. If not, it would be tomorrow, and I'm loving the pace. I'm loving how they're now discovering Alessandra's family history and her mother's history and stuff like that, and how each letter that's within these pages, it's talking about one of her family, one of her ancestors, like Ella, and then how Ella had a child of her own, then got married, how they moved to, from Sag Harbor, they moved to Chicago, and then from Chicago, they moved to Oklahoma. So it's just, I'm loving this journey. I'm loving the life lessons that it's bringing and that it's portraying in this book. I find it very fascinating. I find it very motivating as well for me, because it makes me want to do more about wanting to know about my family history, not just my dad's side, but my mother's side. I barely don't know anything about my mother's side at all, except the fact that my great grandmother, she was Blackfoot, and I was like in awe about that. I had no idea. So I'm really excited to see what happens with Alessandra, and also the relationship she has been developing with Zach. I found that very fascinating as well, because they have this type of connection. Like when they first met each other, they were like first sight, like they had something. And I found that very, very interesting and just beautiful in itself, on how they just felt like they've known each other forever. So yeah, I'm liking the pace. I'm hoping that if I don't finish this tonight, I'll finish it tomorrow. And then by the time I finish it, I will towards the end, once I'm finished, I will come back and do like my whole review on my thoughts and feelings about this book overall. So definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, so like I said, if I don't finish this tonight, it'll be tomorrow, and then I'll make my whole review about it. So stay tuned. All right, y'all, I'm back. Today is the 20th. I was able to finish I Am Ayah, The Way Home by Donna Hill, and I love this book. I loved every single moment of it. It had me in like on an emotional roller coaster, which that's what I love when I read books, especially books like this, when it talks about family, it talks about ancestors, it talks about your past. And the last few chapters that I read, I was just blown away. We got some answers that Alessandra had wanted, and also Zach had found answers as well. And the funny part is, remember when I told y'all like how Alessandra and Zach, they had this ultimate connection, like when they first met each other? It all made sense at the end of this book, like completely. And I understand why Alessandra's mother did not want Alessandra to have the opportunity to know her past at the time, because of how her Alessandra mother was, her mother was conceived. And it makes sense because she didn't want the past to be something that would hurt and bring trauma into her life. So as a mother, as myself, I completely understand it. But then her mother looked back on everything and she realized how valuable your past is and how it can affect your present and also your future. And if there were some things that were traumatic, and you don't know that happened, there's no way that you can stop that cycle from happening over and over again. And I like that her mother came around, even though it was it was only like maybe a few months or so before she was taken away from Alessandra. She no longer, she passed away in a car accident. So I get it. I completely get it. And I appreciated that moment where we get to meet Alessandra's mother through letters. And when you read this book, like I said previously, as I'm blogging this, there's a lot of letters that we read, that you're going to be reading throughout this book, that are people from Alessandra's past, her ancestors, starting from the very beginning in the year of 1839, 1838, I believe. Let me double check. I don't want to give y'all false year. Yeah, 1839, all the way into the present, and how it helped Alessandra find her way and find what her calling was, and embracing her family and who she is. I just loved it, because at the very beginning of this book, Alessandra's still trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. She knows she wants to be a photographer. She wants this, she wants that, but she didn't know the subject matter or what she wanted to bring to the table and to the world, of what she could offer to the world as far as her photos. And then Zach, it's just when we found out about his ancestors and it came all in full circle, was just absolutely stunning and amazing. Like Donna Hill's writing is awesome. Like, I have no complaints whatsoever about how the book was written or the pace, because it was just spot on. I enjoyed every single moment of it. I have to keep saying that because it's the honest truth. And for this book to make me cry, that lets you know, or at least for me, that lets me know that this book is special. I don't cry a lot when it comes to books. Trust me, I don't. And when a book gets me to cry, that means that it means something. I felt something. When words does that to you, like when you read, that means this book is something that you cannot miss out on. Like, this is a book that I will reread over and over and over again, because it's that special. And it also, I feel like it not only motivates me to do better and to try to research my own family history, not just for my children's sake, but for my sake as well. It motivates me. And I feel like if any of you read this, it will motivate you to do the exact same thing. Because not a lot of us don't get that opportunity or are able to have some artifacts left from our ancestors or journals that were left. We have to dig a little bit deeper and a little bit harder. And there are some people that are not fortunate enough to even get any information as well, because some people's history was completely lost and probably was not recorded. And I really want to do some digging. I know my sister has been doing some digging regarding, I think, on my mother's side, which my mother's side, I feel like it's, we learned a lot of things from my mother's side. We know that they were enslaved and they came to Virginia. That's all we know so far. So yeah, there's a lot more digging that needs to be made as far as getting to know who my ancestors were and where they came from. And this was just an awesome book. And even there is an author's note, which I'm more than happy to read to y'all. And it says, author's note to my readers: I Am Ayah is a product of love and nearly 2 years of writing, researching, and rewriting. While I took a bit of creative license, the tale remains rooted in history. In the end, I was in a way reborn, more aware of the importance of who we are, the culmination of all those who came before, and embedded in us the memories, the myths, the legends, the truths. The stories of our ancestors flow through our veins, as my character Alessandra discovers. She reminds us that we are all in search of where we belong in the world, searching for a place called home. We are ancestors' wildest dreams. We are ancestors' wildest dreams. Say their names. And it says Donna Hill. So yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this book so much. And I really hope that you all pick this book up, because yeah, it's just amazing. Like, even with the acknowledgments, it says the project was a compilation of storytelling and research. Much of my research was a result of Andrea Meyer of the East Hampton Library. I cannot thank her enough for providing access to the digital catalog of the library that provided so much of the historic information of Sag Harbor and its storied history. I must thank my amazing editor, Stacey Abrams, for her guidance and patience, and the team of editors who combed through every line and hung in there with me in finding just the right handwriting samples for each of the letters in the novel. This book will be a lot of words on my computer without the hard work of Curtis Savilak, who puts it all together, and of course the design team who crafted my amazing cover. Thank you, one and all, Donna. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It comes out on the 22nd, which hopefully by the time it's the 22nd you're watching this video. And I just have to say thank you once again to hear our voices for letting me participate in this amazing tour and reading this amazing book by Donna Hill. This was just a great opportunity, and I hope you all will read this book when it comes out. But that is it. I really hope you enjoyed this vlog. And I just thank you all for watching and just seeing me ugly cry and everything. So I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you all stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.